You are watching 2+ Nevada, and I'm very excited to have Dr. Lorrel Toft here with us this afternoon. She's a UNR School of Medicine professor and a cardiologist at Carson Tahoe Health. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Pleasure to be here.
So we're actually talking, there are new CPR guidelines out there, and you were on the panel to help determine these new CPR guidelines. First and foremost, let me ask you, why are they changing?
Yeah, well, the good news is that for most lay rescuers, which would be most people watching, honestly, not much has changed. But on a 5-year cycle, we convene this group of international experts in order to review what's been published in the last 5 years, what's the new data say, do we need to adjust or change anything? And in this space, it's kind of hard to do research on CPR, as you can imagine. So not too much has changed, but we want to make sure that everything we put out there is current and up to date.
Okay, so let's talk about what was updated with this new set of guidelines.
Yeah, for lay rescuers, honestly, not anything changed. We still say, make it as simple as possible. If you have witnessed someone that you believe has had a cardiac arrest, they're not breathing normally, then first call 911, get an AED if one is nearby, and then push hard and fast in the center of the chest and do that until help arrives. Very simple, to the point, easy to remember.
So it's really for like the Joe Schmo, Jane Schmo out there, nothing has changed, but the change comes with medical practice.
Yeah, that's right. So for medical providers and healthcare professionals, there are subtleties that have changed in some of the ways that we're approaching things. More in the hospital space, how are we caring for people after they have a cardiac arrest? But really, again, for lay rescuers, we found that there wasn't any compelling new evidence about providing CPR. However, my part of the guidelines was looking at CPR education and training, and there are some new things emerging in that space about how we're training people in CPR.
Oh, go into that.
Yeah, so we were really interested in things like virtual reality, augmented reality. Could these be ways to get more training to people? And what the research shows is that something like augmented reality, where you're wearing the headset, but you're sort of practicing in the physical world, actually could be harmful in terms of training because you're not really doing the real chest compressions. So virtual reality could be helpful. Augmented reality is currently out. And then the area I'm most interested in is using games to teach CPR. And the data is showing that that could be a useful way to not only train with the physical skill, but also to provide emotional preparation for this very stressful event.
Yeah, because CPR, I don't think if you've never given CPR, never seen CPR being given, it is not a pretty event. It is highly physical. It is highly traumatic.
Yes.
You know, it's not like what you see in the TV shows. It's like messy.
Yes.
And there's some bodily fluids that can be coming out of people, you know, stuff like that, that people might not be aware of. So you've actually created a game to help teach CPR.
Yes, and it's exactly addressing what you've just said. So CPR training has really been focused on the mechanics since we started training people in CPR decades ago. Mechanics, very important. That's what saves lives. But what we're now realizing is we haven't adequately prepared people for the emotional barriers. There are things that actually stop people from wanting to act, either because they're traumatized, they're terrified, they think they're going to hurt somebody. And so the game that we've created, which is called Cardiac Star, attempts to immerse people in a more realistic environment. So you're actually watching a realistic cardiac arrest unfold, and you're hearing people voice all those concerns. Things like, am I going to hurt this woman? Could I break her ribs? And we try to address those issues to kind of create what I like to call emotional muscle memory.
Mm-hmm. And that is so important. So emotional muscle memory is out there, and you want people to be prepared with stuff like that. Your game is currently in its beta phase. So can people in our community actually like log into your game and see what it's all about?
Well, we do have a website where you can check out what we've created. It's called cardiacstar.com. But right now we are testing this with groups of people because we intend this game to be in a group environment. We have competition between 2 teams, and we've actually been partnering with schools in the area, high schools in particular, to test out are people learning CPR? What kind of emotions are being created for them? And do they know where to put their hands? So schools that are interested in partnering with us can certainly look on that website, and stay tuned because we're hoping to get this in its entirety ready for people to engage with.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Now, when you're talking about getting it in schools, you mentioned specifically high schools, but that bears the question, like, at what age should parents start considering CPR lessons? Let's say your child wants to be a babysitter or watch the neighbor's kids, at what is the age appropriate time to get kids involved in CPR?
That was actually in our guidelines. So there have been a lot of studies looking at how young is too young, when can they physically do CPR, and when can they emotionally or cognitively learn. And 12 seems to be a very appropriate age for full CPR training. Younger than 12, there are many studies showing that we can socialize the idea of CPR. So we can teach kids to call 911 if there's an emergency. We've all heard news stories of children who called 911 and did CPR on their parents. In my household, my 10 and 5-year-old definitely knows CPR and point out AEDs wherever we go. That might be a hazard of the trade. But we certainly want to get kids comfortable with this idea of CPR, and full CPR training as young as 12.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. And again, that website is cardiacstar.com. Dr. Toft, have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you.
You're watching 2 Plus U Nevada.